All right, team. So today we're going to go over how you can get better gear through trading rather than wasting all of your exalted orbs on rolling for random chance modifiers on your equipment or finding random drops out in the environment or buying things from vendors. So first things first is I'm playing on this monk that is a level 75. So let's just say that I'm dying a bunch. I'm really not, but let's say I'm dying a bunch and there's some improvements that I want to make to my character for defenses that I need to get into my gear. So the first thing I want to do is I want to look at both my character sheet and my inventory to figure out what exactly isn't working on my character. If we look on the left-hand side of the screen, we'll be able to see our life, our energy shield, our mana, our spirit, all of that stuff. You'll notice I have 89% evasion, so I'm evading like crazy. But if I do get hit, I'm dying pretty quickly, usually to lightning damage or to cold damage. As you can see here, we only have 51% lightning resistance, and we only have 48% cold resistance. These values are capped at 75%, and there's additional uncapped values that you can get to as well. But for our purposes, I just want to get all of these resistances up to 75%. So that way, when I do get hit by something, I can make sure I'm resisting that damage instead of just dying immediately from a one shot. So if we look through our gear, we can actually start to identify, what doesn't have resistances, maybe what has some low resistances that we want to get improved. So I'm going to look through, and I've already identified that my belt just sucks complete ass. This thing is giving 113 to armor, which armor sucks right now in PoE2. You'll see that I only have 3% armor on my character sheet over there. So why would I even want to keep this belt? Well, the reason I've been keeping the belt and why it's gotten me to the point that I'm at right now is because it's giving me 126 to max life. That's a pretty high max life roll. I just found this item. It's done me pretty good so far. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I want to upgrade my belt. So if we want to upgrade our belt, instead of just going to all the vendors and trying to, find maybe one of them has a really awesome belt that we can buy and it's got, energy shield or it's got the thing, they never really do. I can never find any of these that have really good upgrades. Even if I were to find one, let's just say we were to find a really good item like this belt from this vendor, let's buy it for gold, or we find a good one out in the world. All we're going to do is be able to craft it by slamming a bunch of random augmentation orbs or regal orbs or exalted orbs onto our items. And all we're doing is wasting our time when we do that. Really, because if we take this augment orb, great, this gave us 96 to max mana. Not a whole lot, right? Then we hit it with a regal orb. Looks like we got 6% more to fire resistance. Maybe that's what we need. Oh, at this point, now we can start slamming our exalted orbs onto it too, and we can add a couple of more modifiers. Don't fucking do that. It's a waste of your fucking time. Seriously, if you're using your exalted orbs to add these modifiers, you're hoping that you're just going to scratch off some lottery ticket and it's going to give you, 100% increased physical damage or 100% increased evasion rating or energy shield. No, your dumbass is going to roll like, God forbid, physical thorns or stun threshold on there. You could sit there and spend all your exalted orbs on that, or you can go out to the trade market and you can use one exalted orb and you can get a full item that has 5 or 6 modifiers that are exactly what you need. So that's what we're going to go over today. So in order to actually trade in Path of Exile 2, you do have to go out to an outside website. You can do this on your phone or on a computer. The website you need to go to is really difficult to get to. If you were to just Google Path of Exile 2 trade, you're going to end up with all of these websites that don't point to the actual trade website. In fact, you might accidentally get a random link to Fextra Life, and God fucking forbid that you end up on any Fextra Life wiki ever in your life. So ignoring all of that, getting beyond it, just go to pathofexile2.com, the official website for it. When you're on this site, click trade in the upper right corner here. You're going to get asked to sign in. You can go into the sign in page and you can sign in through whatever launcher it is that you're using. If you're on the consoles, you can go through those 2-factor authentications. But if I'm playing on Steam, you can just click Steam. It'll ask you to sign in and verify that you want to authorize it to your Steam account. Then it takes you to the trade website. All right, so here we are on the Path of Exile 2 trading website, and we can use these search boxes in order to find the belt that we're looking for. So the first thing that we can do is we can either use this search box up here to type in the type of belt that we want. I don't know what type of belt we need, if it's a rawhide belt or a different type of belt like a plate belt. So instead, what we're going to do is go to item category and we're going to choose belt. That'll make sure it filter down to only belts. Then we'll go to requirements, very important. You want to make sure that you set your maximum level here to be your character's max level. I'm going to set the max level to 75 to make sure that I can equip it right away. Otherwise, you can end up buying something that you might not be able to equip until you've leveled up a couple of times. You can also set the dexterity, the intelligence, strength. I'm not going to set those right now because there aren't really requirements on belts. It's not something that we're looking for. So then we'll hop down to the trade filters section at the bottom here. Right now, the market is a little out of whack because it's not sure of what is the relative price to one divine versus exalted orbs. Things are just really out of whack. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on buyout price down here. We're going to change this over to exalted orbs, and I have 10 exalted orbs in my stash right now. So I'm going to set the maximum to be 10 exalts. So that way I'm only seeing the items that are 10 exalts or less. Then in the upper right corner here on the stat filters, this might be on the bottom if you're using a different screen, but we're going to use stat filters to choose what stats are available on the items that we're looking at. So I'm going to look for items that have lightning res. So I want to make sure that I have lightning resistance, and I want to make sure that we have cold resistance. Now, I am going to be a little bit greedy here. I want to make sure we have at least 20% of both of those. Then I also know that there is an implicit modifier that can roll on belts that applies 20% of the flask instantly the moment you push it. So I really want to get that because instant is better than overtime. So then we're going to use this option of stat group. This is our way of filtering to make sure that we have at least one of what's in the stat group. So here I'm going to choose count. And then I'm going to set this count minimum to 1. That means that at least one of the things I set underneath it has to be true for it to show up in the filter. So if I click on stat filter, I'm going to choose max life. And then I'm going to click another stat filter. And I'm going to choose chaos resistance. So as long as at least one of these things is true, the item will show up in our filter. So now that all of our filters are set, we're going to go ahead and click search. And then we're going to scroll through all of the listings to find ones that aren't complete garbage. So there's a lot of them on here that people just go out and they find these items and they just throw them into dump tabs and they're just sold for 1 exalt, and they really shouldn't be sold for 1 exalt. So these people are probably going to never end up selling these items and just go and disenchanting them. I do it all the time too. It's just you sell your things, you try to get 1 exalt for it. If you can't get 1 exalt, then you go and disenchant it. So the first one gives us 40 life and 21 resistance, 21 to lightning resistance. It's actually a really good one already off the bat, especially because it's a 17 on the life regen per second. On the left-hand side of the screen here, you can actually see the tier of what was rolled, and you can see the range of how it could roll. So this one is a tier 4 of a max life roll, and it rolled the lowest on that tier. So I'm just going to scroll through on my own until I can find an item that I actually want to buy. All right, so I found one that I really want to buy, and this one is priced at 2 exalted orbs instead of 1, unfortunately, but it is pretty good. I think 2 exalts is going to be pretty fair price for this one. It's not giving a ton of life. It only rolled tier 3 on the life, but I am having mana problems at the moment, not really life problems. So a level 9, a tier 9 roll on maximum mana is going to really help us out. And the amount of cold resistance and lightning resistance it's giving is going to be able to get me to that cap of 75% that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this direct whisper here. And if we jump back over into our game, we will see that it actually sent a message to that person here. This person has now been whispered, and all we're doing is waiting for them to hopefully respond back to us and say that they're willing to sell it to us. While we're waiting for that, I'm going to go ahead and go to my stash tab. I'm going to click to unstack 2 exalted orbs. I'm going to put those into my inventory, and hopefully if that person gets back to us, then we can go to their hideout and we can trade with them. All right, so that person ended up not responding, but a different person did. So I went and messaged them too, and it looks like they have now added me to their party. Once you get that party invite, make sure you have the currency in your inventory for what you said you're going to sell it for. I told them that I was going to buy it for 2 exalts. I've got them in my inventory. I'll right click on this person's name, jump over to visit their hideout. Once I'm in their hideout, they'll send me a trade request, and then from that we can make our trade. So he's now invited me to trade. I'll drop my exalted orbs in as my offer. Hover over the item here. You have to hover before you can accept. See that you have the right item. Then you can click accept. Just like that, trade's complete. Give them a thank you, good luck. And just like that, you've completed your trade. All right, so here's our new item. I'm gonna open up the character sheet so I can see what happens with the differences. We're gonna go ahead and slot that in. We now have 1,476, so we lose a little bit of max life when we put this one on, this new one. But if we look at our resistances, we have 51% lightning, 48% cold. Slotted in, we now have 71% cold, and we're now maxed out on lightning res and fire res. Just like that, we've gotten this huge buff. And we got the fact that 20% of our flask recovery is applied instantly. So 20% of our 505 mana, whenever I go to use my mana flask, because that's really what I need to use right now, that is going to be applied instantly. And 20% of the 1,000 that we're getting from our life flask is applied instantly. So just like that, that's why you should save your exalt orbs. Just, it's so much better than just slamming 2 exalts onto one item and getting absolute trash. Just go out to the trade shop, buy an entire item that is better for your character rather than slamming and ending up with physical thorns damage and fucking stun threshold. Well, that's gonna do it for how to buy items. If you're interested in how to sell items, I'll put another video with a link over here. Check it out. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more. I'm Ice Cold Snake. I'll see you next time.